The Interagency Task Force on the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases is considering suggestions to downgrade restrictions in the National Capital Region to Alert Level 1.
The TikTok user allegedly plotting to assassinate presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos Jr. denies allegations as he surrenders to the National Bureau of Investigation.
The Philippine National Police has observed that health protocols in light of the COVID-19 threat was violated in some campaign rallies.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. We are now reporting live from Quezon City. Today is Wednesday, February 9, 2022. I am Herlene Delgado.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am William Theo.
First in the news. The government's pandemic task force has yet to decide the possible de-escalation of the National Capital Region under Alert Level 1 amid the declining COVID-19 cases. Malacanang said that the new round of alert level in NCR will be announced over the weekend. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
The Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, or IATF, will meet tomorrow and on weekend before making an announcement on the next round of alert levels to be implemented for the rest of February. This is to assess the latest COVID-19 situation in the country, including Metro Manila. The current alert levels will lapse on February 15. However, the IATF may announce its decision on February 13 or 14, according to Acting Presidential Spokesperson and Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles. The palace official reiterated the IATF wants to make the announcement at the date nearest the start of the effectivity of the new alert levels. Earlier, Metropolitan Manila Development Authority or MMDA General Manager Officer in Charge Romando Artes said they will recommend to the IATF the possible de-escalation of Metro Manila to Alert Level 1.
Patuloy naman pong bumababa at pag na-reach po namin yung threshold para ibaba na po ng tuluyan sa Alert Level 1, yan po ay hihilingin namin sa IATF para mababa na po at mabuksan na po talaga yung ekonomiya dito sa Kalakang, Maynila. Na alam naman po natin ay sentro ng komersyo sa buong bansa.
Artes said Metro Manila mayors are prepared to open more industries and sectors in the region. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippines' new cases of novel coronavirus disease or COVID-19 further went down to 3,651, pushing the nationwide case count to 3,623,176. Active cases stood at 96,326, less than the 100,000 regularly reported in the past week since the surge began. Among the active cases, 95% are mild and asymptomatic, according to the DOH. Its data show that 87,385 are mild, 4,150 are asymptomatic, 3,029 are moderate, 1,447 are severe, and 315 are in critical condition. All labs were operational on February 7, 2022. However, 3 labs were not able to submit their data to the COVID-19 document repository system. DOH also reported 12,834 new recoveries, bringing the total number to 3,472,160, or 95.8% of the total number of cases, while 69 more have died from COVID-19, bringing the death toll to 54,690, or 1.51% of the total number of cases. Meanwhile, the overall global COVID-19 caseload has topped 401,235,509, while deaths have surged to 5,766,256, according to the Johns Hopkins University. The U.S. is the worst hit country with the world's highest number of cases and deaths at 77,054,088 and 909,020 respectively. In terms of infections, India follows in second place with 42,410,976 cases and 505,279 deaths. In terms of deaths, Brazil comes second with 634,118 fatalities.
The Philippine Food and Drug Administration has granted Lloyd Laboratories Incorporated to locally produce the COVID-19 pill molnupiravir. The FDA expects the pill to be sold on the market at a lower price. Isko Miguel reports.
Food and Drug Administration Officer in charge Dr. Oscar Gutierrez says the COVID-19 pill molnupiravir may be sold at 50 pesos to 75 pesos per capsule. According to Gutierrez, once a certificate of product registration will be granted to Lloyd Laboratories Incorporated, they can now be sold in the market at a cheaper price compared to branded products.
Isang generic product. Usually po, ang generic product po ay 30 to 50% po mas mababa kaysa doon sa mga branded. Nagpa-survey po ako kung magkano po sa merkado noong January, mga 100 to 150 po per capsule po ang molnupiravir. Pwede po itong asahan na ang Lloyd ay i-market niya siguro between 50 to 75 pesos na lang per capsule. Dahil kung sa 200 mg per capsule, 40 capsules po ang kakailanganin ng pasyente para mabuo po niya yung dosage regimen ng 5 araw.
Without a CPR, only the Department of Health and the National Task Force may purchase the product from the EUA holder. The DOH will deliver the oral antiviral pill to healthcare facilities and healthcare providers who will administer it to COVID-19 patients. Meanwhile, the FDA will issue new guidelines on online selling of medicines.
May limitasyon po ito. Ang i-allow lang po natin kung mangyari po ito ay yung mga non-prescription drug. Kasi bawal po talaga sa mga prescription drug na i-advertise at i-offer for sale online. Ang kaibahan po kasi ng e-pharmacy dun sa current policy, nangangailangan po ngayon ng physical store, yung online ordering. Sa future po, pwede pong wala po tayong physical store na pharmacy, pero definitely po dapat meron po tayong opisina. At meron pong identified na warehouse kung saan po nanggagaling yung mga gamot.
FDA is already finalizing the e-pharmacy guidelines. Isko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Schools in the National Capital Region have resumed face-to-face classes beginning today. More than 300 schools have qualified to conduct the in-person learning. Janice Inhente reports.
Several elementary schools and senior high schools in Metro Manila returned to in-person learning today. This coincides with expansion phase of physical classes, where more schools and other grade levels can also participate. Pio del Pilar Elementary School is among the schools allowed to conduct face-to-face classes. The school ensures that they have a plan prepared in case a student shows any symptoms of COVID-19.
Kaya nga kami may testing dyan sa di ba, nagte-temperature. Yun muna yung aming plan na i-hold ang bata doon. Kung hindi mag-normalize ang temperature, nakaposisyon na rin yung aming birth ng barangay.
Sa loob naman ng klase, may kasama akong clinic teachers na naka-assign na kung saan sila ay naka-stay sa clinic, sa isolation room, na pwede namin nakahiwalay ang mga bata na may sakit na kung saan sila ay nagkaklase. Meron din kaming clinic na malapit dito na kung saan i-cater naman namin yung mga common ailments na ma-encounter namin sa mga bata.
Meanwhile, some senior high school also started their physical classes, including Ignacio Villamor Senior High in Manila. Public health standards and proper ventilation of classrooms are strictly implemented in the facility.
Siyempre, kailangan yung classroom ay conducive for learning, saka hindi pagmumulan ng mga iba't ibang sakit. So kung makikita nyo itong classroom na to, aside from being air conditioned, merong air purifier, ganyan. Tapos pagkatapos ng klase nila, dinidisinfect namin yung classroom.
Sobrang saya ko po dahil nga kasama ako dito. Kasi po bilang IT student, kailangan ko po maka-experience ng mga bagay na dapat nararanasan ng IT student. Sobrang saya po, tapos kampante po ako kasi marami po akong matututunan dito.
118 schools in Metro Manila were approved by DepEd to conduct physical learning. Other areas under Alert Level 1 and 2 are also allowed to participate in the pilot face-to-face classes. Janice Enhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
As the country welcomes the entry of fully vaccinated foreign tourists, the Tourism Department assures health and safety protocols will be strictly observed in all destinations in the country. Meanwhile, a group of hotel owners is also seeking help from the government to help them get by in the coming months. This report will tell us why. The Philippine Hotel Owners Association Incorporated is asking the government for a possible stimulus package for hotels as the country opens its borders to international travelers with complete COVID-19 vaccination. The group's executive director and former tourism undersecretary Benito Bengzon Jr. says some hotels that are being used as quarantine facilities have been affected by the removal of the quarantine requirement for some travelers.
Even as we open our borders to international traffic, it is important to provide a lifeline to the hotels which have been suffering. We see that the next 6 to 12 months now will be very difficult. What we would like is some kind of financial assistance coming from the government to help us tide us over in the next 6 to 12 months.
Despite this, the group, together with the Tourism Congress of the Philippines, welcomed the move to loosen its border restrictions to international travelers. Beginning tomorrow, fully vaccinated foreign tourists from 157 visa-free countries will be allowed of entry to the Philippines. Included in the requirements are acceptable proof of vaccination, negative RT-PCR swab tests taken within 48 hours before departure from the country of origin, valid tickets for return journey, valid passports, and COVID-19 travel insurance. Foreign tourists will not be required to undergo facility-based quarantine but shall self-monitor for 7 days and report to the local government unit of their destination should they exhibit symptoms. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat says the country is ready to welcome foreign tourists but they are not expecting an influx of arrivals yet.
Everybody kasi thought na pagbukas Feb 10, magdadagsaan. It will take time, so hindi naman yan agad-agad dadating. But what is important is that we are open. Kasi if we do not say that we are open, hindi rin naman sila mag-i-inquire.
Puyat assures they're reminding LGUs to be strict in enforcing health and safety protocols.
We are in constant discussions with the DILG and the LGUs. While the accommodation establishments are under the DOT, and we can always remind them, we provide an NTE, a notice to explain if we see that they are not following strict and health and safety protocols. We really have to have the cooperation of the LGU.
The tourism chief notes that 76 hotels in Metro Manila used as quarantine facilities have submitted its application to go back to its regular operations. Puyat adds more than 92% of the country's tourism workers are fully vaccinated against COVID-19, while programs for booster shots are underway. The DOT is confident that the tourism industry will eventually bounce back after 2 years of closing its borders to foreign tourists. Jorlene Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
For those watching our 24/7 live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. The TikTok user behind the assassination plot against presidential candidate Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. has denied the allegations against him as he surrenders to the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI. Dante Amento tells us why.
TikTok user Ruel Bong Ricafort voluntarily went to the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, to clear his name. Ricafort is linked to the TikTok account behind the alleged death threat against presidential candidate Ferdinand Marcos Jr., but he strongly denied the allegation.
Hindi po akin yun. Kumbaga, yung ginawa po nila, yung account ko sa Facebook po, kinuha nila yung profile pic ko, then yung name ko po.
He even warned to file charges to those involved in the fabricated TikTok account.
Yung video na po yun, usapan po ng mga BBM po yun eh. So hindi ko po alam kung bakit po ako nadamay doon. Hindi ko rin po alam kung bakit ako yung inano nila.
Meanwhile, the NBI has confiscated Rica Fort's mobile phone as part of the ongoing investigation. The gadget will be examined.
Actually, we're just starting the investigation. Sinasabi nitong si Ruel, hindi siya yon, iginawa lang siya ng TikTok account. That is something that we need to prove.
Rica Fort admitted he is a supporter of Vice President Leni Robredo, but he clarified he has nothing against Marcos. Meanwhile, because Rica Fort is not yet indicted, he will not be held custody by the NBI. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Despite warnings from authorities to abide by campaign rules set by the Commission on Elections, the Philippine National Police observed that health protocols in light of the COVID-19 threat was violated in some campaign rallies. Leia Ilagan reports.
Philippine National Police Chief Police General Junardo Carlos appeals to election campaign organizers to ensure the observance of COVID-19 protocol on their next event. This after the PNP has observed that physical distancing was violated in some campaign rallies. According to Carlos, the public should always keep in mind that the COVID-19 threat remains.
We saw a big number of gatherings. So sabi nga po natin, everybody has a contribution to this. So we are appealing to the organizers na yung ating pong paggagawa ng mga itong big event, we make sure that we always put in mind the minimum health standard protocol. Kasi nandito pa po yung COVID at though this is now becoming our new normal, wala na pong mawawala kung tayo nag-iingat.
Malacanang said it is the COMELEC that will impose sanctions against violators of health protocols in election-related activities. Despite this, the PNP chief said the first day of the campaign period was generally peaceful and there were no reported untoward incidents.
Relatively, wala naman po tayong nakitang major incident. So that's very good.
Meanwhile, the PNP has already submitted its election watch list of areas to the COMELEC in connection with the security of the 2022 polls. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
National candidates of Aksyon Demokratiko continue their campaign for the 2022 elections. As Isko-Doc Willy Camp talks to the people, the aspirants emphasize their aim to improve the quality of life of Filipinos. Asher Kadapan Jr. details why live. Yes, Asher?
Good evening, Harleen. Presidential aspirant Manila City Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso spent his childhood in poverty. And while serving the Manileños for over 2 decades now, the local chief executive explains he knows well the day-to-day struggles of several poor Filipinos. This is why he wanted to serve in a larger scope and have more power in implementing what he believes will provide a better quality of life to Filipinos, especially the poor.
Itatawid natin ang mga kababayan natin sa gutom, sa hanap buhay, sa sakit, pabahay, pag-aaral. Wala kayong halos maririnig sa akin kundi minimum basic needs. Dahil since time immemorial, yun ang lagi kong ginagampanan. Ang pataasin ang antas ng pamumuhay ng tao. Quality of life.
On the second day of the 90-day campaign period, the Acción Democrática pushed their provincial sorties in the province of Rizal. The camp was led by presidential aspirant Mayor Isko-Ong de Magoso, Vice Presidential bet Doc Willy-Ong, and senatorial candidates Carl Balita, Samira Gutok, and Jopet Season. They held a town hall meeting with multi-sectoral groups in the municipality of Rodriguez, where participating Montalbeño have shown their support to the Isko-Doc Willy tandem. Cardiologist Dr. Ong reiterated their plan to build 17 regional hospitals across the country, Cancer Center of the Philippines, and a hospital dedicated to pandemic patients.
Trabaho ko naman, ayusin yung mga ospital, pinakamagandang gamot, para pag nagbukas tayo, nagtatrabaho kayo, oras na may tamaan ng sakit, merong pupuntahan. May pupuntahan para hindi tayo ma-lockdown.
The party's motorcade proceeded to Marikina City, where Mayor de Magoso personally approached the residents and took selfie photos with them. Meanwhile, Isko appeals to the Commission on Elections to reconsider the no selfie rule in the in-person campaign activities. Harleen, tomorrow, the Acción Democrática national aspirants are scheduled to conduct motorcade activities and courtesy calls to some local government units in Laguna. Harleen.
Thank you, Asher Kadapan Jr. reporting live from Quezon City.
Meanwhile, presidential candidate Panfilo Lacson and vice presidential candidate confirms that they removed senatorial candidate Herbert Bautista from their senatorial slate. Eileen Cerudo will tell us why live. Yes, Eileen, good evening. Go ahead.
Good evening, William. The Lacson-Sotto tandem disclosed that Herbert Bautista sent a letter informing them that he wanted to become the representative of the Nationalist People's Coalition, or NPC, in the uniteam of presidential candidate Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos and vice presidential candidate Sara Duterte. Bautista also did not attend the proclamation rally of Partido Reforma in Imus, Cavite.
Si Herbert, sumulat sa amin dalawa. Hindi ko maintindihan kung paano ko sasagutin. Ang sabi niya, nagpapaalam siya kung pwedeng siya na yung NPC representative sa unity.
Lacson and Sotto reiterated that their senatorial slate can freely guest in other campaign rally as long as they officially endorse Lacson as their president and Sotto as their vice president. Several members of the tandem senatorial slate also did not physically attend their campaign rally but were present in other candidates' proclamation rally. The presidential candidate of Partido Reforma also said he is a bit dismayed over the situation but still respects the decision of the candidate.
Meron. May epekto maski paano. Pero we are trying to understand their position.
Sotto also said this is the effect of a multi-party system in the Philippines.
That's politics in the Philippines. That's the problem of a multi-party system. Diba? Unlike in the United States or other countries, the two-party system.
In a statement, Bautista assured he has no ill feelings with Lacson-Sotto tandem and his respect has not diminished. He also adds that their decision would provide him the opportunity to openly campaign for the BBM Sara unity. William?
Yes, thank you very much, Eileen Cerudo reporting live.
Several areas in the Visayas region are still without power nearly 2 months after the onslaught of Typhoon Odette. Lalaine Moreno reports why.
More than 18,000 households in Cebu province are still without electricity after the devastation brought by Typhoon Odette. Of the 474,182 customers of Visayan Electric Company, 455,808 or 96.12% were energized.
Marami pang sira kasi nasa highway pa yung nag-aayos ng kuryente. Sa looban nyo sa amin, marami pang posting na nasira kaya abutin pa siguro ng ilang buwan. Charge lang namin din sa mayon generator. Wala talaga. Mahirap talaga. Lalo na pag paano na yung araw, palubog, mahirap, madilim.
The Visayan Electric Company explained they lack manpower for the restoration efforts. In southern Leyte, electricity has been restored to 41,411 residents out of 105,787 consumers.
Dito sa barangay Pako po, mayroon na pong ilaw dito. Pero sa amin mismo, wala pa pong ilaw sa barangay San Rafael. Pero sa akin, hindi naman masyadong mahirap kasi namimit ko naman yung mga needs ko. Pero siguro sa iba, mas mahirap sa kanila.
The Southern Leyte Electric Operative targets to restore the power supply this month. Lelaine Moreno, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, thousands of people in South Korea are calling for more action on hate comments posted online. Maeve Dog will tell us why live. Yes, Maeve, please go ahead.
Mariel, South Korean volleyball player Kim In-hyuk and YouTuber Cho Jang-mi have taken their own lives one day apart, both of whom were targets of hate comments online, also known as cyberbullying. The petition followed after news of Ms. Cho's death on February 5, who had been receiving hate comments online after being accused of making a gesture in one of her videos in 2019 that implied she hated men. Ms. Cho's mother had taken her own life the following year, at which point Ms. Cho had appealed for the bullying and accusations to stop. The petition has now been signed by more than 150,000 people, calling for punishment for those who have spread rumors about the 27-year-old influencer. Mr. Kim, who was 28 years old, died the day before Ms. Cho and had also called for people to stop sending him hate messages and spreading rumors about his sexuality. South Korean actor Hong Sok-chon criticized the online abuse received by Mr. Kim, referring to the malicious commenters as murderers in a statement on Instagram. Mariel, this is not the first time that online bullying has become the spotlight of a celebrity suicide in Korea. Several celebrities were prompted to call for better support for the pressures that they are under. Mariel?
Thank you, Maeve Dog, for that live report. Canadian truck protesters blocked North America's busiest international crossing, causing miles of traffic and widespread economic disruptions. Charisse Longbowen will tell us why live. Good evening, Charisse. Please go ahead.
Good evening, Marielle. Demonstrations erupted against Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's decision to mandate vaccines for all truckers entering Canada. The protests began on January 29 after Trudeau's announcement. More protesters have since joined against the nation's COVID-19 protocols, with some refusing to leave until all vaccine mandates and restrictions against COVID-19 have been lifted. In an emergency parliamentary debate in Ottawa on Monday, Trudeau called for the protests to stop hindering the economy and the citizens' daily lives.
This blockade, these protesters, they're not the story of this pandemic. Right. They are not the story of Canadians in this pandemic. Everyone's tired of COVID. But these protests are not the way to get through it.
Trudeau acknowledged that the protesters have the right to voice out their concerns, but that they have no right to harass residents in their own neighborhoods. On Tuesday, Ottawa Police Service have made 23 arrests since the start of the protests 10 days ago. More than 1,300 tickets were issued for excessive noise violations and use of fireworks after the non-stop blaring of horns. Ottawa Police Chief Peter Slowly on Monday stated that despite their efforts and the support of other police agencies, they will need more help to control the demonstrations. Approximately 80% of Canadians are fully vaccinated, according to the Public Health Agency of Canada. This includes the 90% of fully vaccinated Canadian truckers. According to Trudeau, these demonstrators made up a very small minority of Canada's population. Marielle?
Thank you, Charisse Longbowen, reporting live. COVID-19 reinfections were considered rare, but the rate of reinfections has increased since the Omicron variant became the dominant strain in late 2021. Marvidal Finn will tell us why live. Go ahead, Marvi.
Marielle, according to an analysis by the United Kingdom's Office for National Statistics, or ONS, there is a 16-fold increased risk of reinfection when Omicron was the dominant variant, compared with the period when Delta was dominant. The study has also shown that unvaccinated people were twice as likely to be reinfected with COVID-19 than those who were double vaccinated in the previous 2 weeks to 3 months, regardless of the vaccine brand. This is an update from the report previously published by ONS back in June 2021, which concluded that reinfections were considered rare. However, given the significant mutation of the Omicron variant compared with other variants, the protection developed against previous variants could be less effective against Omicron. According to early research, reinfections are generally mild. A study done in the state of Qatar found that reinfections have 90% lower odds of resulting in hospitalization or death than primary infections. Meanwhile, experts say that while a reinfection would provide some level of immunity against any potential reinfection in the future, hybrid immunity is the best type of immunity. Marielle?
Harvey, what do experts say about chances of slowing down reinfection?
Marielle, experts still promote the WHO's current guidance in place to combat COVID-19 as effective, and that is for people to get vaccinated on top of following all precautionary measures such as physical distancing, avoiding crowds and close contacts, mask wearing, and regular sanitizing. Back to you, Marielle.
Thank you, Marvidal Finn, reporting live from Australia. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Mariela Toza reporting live from Perth, Australia. Good evening.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Luke, chapter 6, verse 28, it says, "Bless them that curse you, and pray for them which despitefully use you." And those are the reasons behind the news, February 9, 2022. I am Herlene Delgado.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Patuloy naman pong bumababa at pag na-reach po namin yung threshold para ibaba na po ng tuluyan sa alert level 1, yan po ay hihilingin namin sa IATF para mababa na po at mabuksan na po talaga yung ekonomiya dito sa Kalakang, Maynila. Na alam naman po natin ay sentro ng komersyo sa buong bansa.
Hindi po akin yun. Yung account ko sa Facebook po, kinuha nila yung profile pic ko, then yung name ko po.
Si Herbert, sumulat sa amin dalawa. Hindi ko maintindihan kung paano ko sasagutin. Ang sabi niya, nagpapaalam siya kung pwedeng siya na yung NPC representative sa UNTV.
We saw a big number of gathering. So sabi nga po natin, everybody has a contribution to this. So we are appealing to the organizers na yung ating pong paggagawa ng mga itong big event. We make sure that we always put in mind the minimum health standard protocol. Kasi nandito pa po yung COVID at though this is now becoming our new normal, wala na pong mawawala kung tayo nag-iingat.